All right, y'all, welcome back to AP World History. This is going to be Unit 1, Day 7. Reminders that have your history notebook out and you're taking notes as you move through the video. Please make sure that you're completing the vocabulary for this video, which is going to be on the next slide and down in the description. So let's go ahead and get started. So our key terms for today are going to be Song Dynasty, Footbinding, Equal Field System, the Tributary Empire/System, Champa Rice, Neo-Confucianism, the Printing Press, Naval Technology, Porcelain, Chinese Renaissance, and Flying Money. Key concepts for today are going to be political characteristics of Song China, cultural characteristics of Song China, and economic characteristics of Song China. So, East Asia after 1200 CE, this is going to be China under the Song. China during this period, so the Song Dynasty is going to reign until 1279, when it's going to be conquered by the Mongols. The reasons that it's conquered by the Mongols, it's going to have an extremely weak military. They're also going to be set up as a tributary empire where surrounding civilizations and surrounding towns and communities pay tribute to the Song Dynasty. Of course, they're going to follow the dynastic cycle, and they're going to use Confucian bureaucracy. Now, demographic environmental developments, they have an agricultural revolution during this time period, and this is going to be the cultivation and development of Champa rice. Champa rice is different than the previous iteration of rice because it flowers twice in a year. It grows very quickly, which increases food supply. More food supply means more people. So what this means is that during this time period, they're going to have a population growth of ×3. They're going to triple their population growth during this time period. And of course, more people means you need more cities and more systems and developments and just planning, and this leads to more urbanization. China will be the most urbanized country during the period of the Song Dynasty, with many cities boasting a population of 100,000 or more, which for this time period is extremely high. Now, today in the United States, 100,000 people, whatever, that's a small town. But during the 1200s and the early 1200s, this is going to be a crazy high population. Now, there's some kind of city architecture developments, right? They're going to develop complex bridges, big walls to keep out invaders. To the left here, you have a very square city structure with specialized parts that are extremely well constructed and very well organized. Now, this is also going to lead to a birth of what is known as Neo-Confucianism. Neo-Confucianism is a syncretism of a lot of Taoism or Taoism and Buddhists synchronizing or synthesis with Confucianism, and this is what's going to make Buddhism Chinese. But it's also going to stress not only Buddhist principles but also Chinese values. So that's where the Confucian system comes in. If you recall, early Confucianism focused primarily on practical issues, politics, public morality, and social relationships, while Buddhism focuses more on enlightenment and coming to terms with yourself and the end of suffering. So mixing these two together, you get what is known as Neo-Confucianism. Xenophobia, which is the kind of fear of outside, in a technical term, fear of outside influences. Xenophobia in terms of a city means they want to stay relatively isolated. They don't want outside influences influencing their culture and society. As foreign ideas from the West, from Europe and the Middle East, and from the South and Southeast, from India and Indochina and the Philippines, or Indonesia, they really began to kind of push back against that to try to maintain themselves as kind of Neo-Confucian Chinese systems. Zhu Shi from 1130 to 1200 CE is going to be the most predominant Neo-Confucian scholar. And he's going to have some major influences in going forward for how Neo-Confucianism works in the Song Dynasty. Now, once again, China still extremely patriarchal during this time, and developments are going to come up during this time period that's going to reinforce the patriarchal system in place. Um, the Chinese reaction to foreign ideas, the reaction to Buddhism's gender equality. Nope, no gender equality. No gender equality. Nope, not playing with that. Neo-Confucianism is going to emphasize patriarchy, right? And they're going to revive kind of ancestor worship and praying to your ancestors. While they're still Buddhist ideals, they're really kind of leaning into the Confucian aspect on this part. They're also going to really start to focus on preserving a family. What this means is that they're going to tighten the patriarchal structure. They're going to double down on some aspects. This is also going to be the birth of footbinding, which is shown to the left of your screen. This is when they're really going to kind of push into footbinding. Mostly, footbinding is going to be very higher class, higher echelon, kind of the scholar gentry or the landed gentry. Poor and peasant were not subject to footbinding. Now, footbinding is going to become popular because of the thought and idea that the smaller a woman's foot is, the more privileged life they come from, because they could have so much time to footbind that they weren't working, they weren't walking, they weren't having to do all these things, meaning that a smaller foot meant higher class. And for a lot of upper class Chinese bureaucrats and gentry and landowners, a smaller foot was more attractive. It is what it is, right? So a lot of these women would footbind in order to make themselves more appealing to the upper class. Right? Again, it's to make the foot as small as possible. Right? Now, technology industry during this time, we're going to have a development of porcelain. Not development, a kind of keeping on of porcelanism, because porcelain is a high quality since the Tang Dynasty. This is what it's known as China or Chinaware. They're going to have a improvement. They used a different type of material to make, instead of coal, they used something called coke to make iron and steel more efficiently. This is also going to be a development of gunpowder. Gunpowder is going to be discovered by Taoist alchemists during the Tang Dynasty, and they're going to create something known as bamboo fire lances as a kind of flamethrower and primitive bombs. This is also going to, during this time, there's also going to be a development of the printing press, and this is going to become common during the Tang, but become more common and widespread during the Song Dynasty. This is going to be a form of block printing. This makes books become more widespread. And in China, similar to the cell phone today, books actually become kind of an issue in schools because kids are reading books and not paying attention to what the teacher's saying. Similar to that of, kids today playing on their cell phones and not doing what they're supposed to be doing. There's also Naval Technology. They're also going to create something known as a south-pointing needle, which is a compass, a magnetic compass. And also we have double-hulled junk ships with a rudder and watertight compartments. Junk ships are going to be extremely important, and they're so well made that we are just now understanding how they were built because they were mostly all destroyed after the Song Dynasty. Now again, Song life is very commercial and kind of cosmopolitan and very city-oriented, lots of trade and movement and ships and lots of kind of modern life, just without all the cars and technology. Now, the economy was purely a market economy. Merchants in charge in the Song Dynasty. The only period in China where merchants were socially superior to the aristocrats, which is going to be different than the last time we talked about China, where the merchants were at the bottom of the social pyramid and the landed gentry and aristocrats were at the top. In the Song Dynasty, this kind of flips, with peasants still in the middle. But aristocrats are a little higher than peasants. And then you have, of course, the poor at the bottom. This is the only period in China where merchants are more established than that. Merchants attempted to intermarry with aristocrats to become landowners, right? Because you own the land, you have a long-term wealth rather than short-term merchant wealth. This is also going to be the development of more financial institutions such as banks. and they actually create credit institutions like like you have a credit card. They create something known as flying money, which is a letter of credit, and they also had a system of paper money, which is backed by the state and treasury. Again, they have a very cosmopolitan society, meaning very city and very movement and high trends and high fashion and very fast moving. And they're going to have foreign merchants in large cities of China, mostly Arab, Muslims, Indians, Hindus, and Southeast Asian. This made China the wealthiest nation at the world in the time, and this also becomes known as the Chinese Renaissance. So that's where we're going to end today. Please make sure that you are following along with the notes. If you have any questions, please ask in class. Please make sure you did the vocabulary, which is at the beginning of the video and down in the description. And I'll see you guys in class.